And thus, God began his long journey to a national God. Now, we have to cover how God leaves Sinai to come to Zion, and I want to be very brief on that one too. When these people entered Canaan, God remained at Sinai for a time being, for a long time, and for a time being. He remained over there until the coming of David as a king. Because when David became a king, he captured Jerusalem by his armies. They captured Jerusalem. And when they captured Jerusalem, they took it completely. And after taking Jerusalem, therefore, a new place was found. David made sure that the Ark of God is brought to Jerusalem on Zion and put into a tent in Zion, and the worship is centralized on Zion. Hence, God conquers now a long journey from Sinai to Zion. God found another permanent place of abode on Zion. The literature of those days, it was very clear. The writings of those days were very clear. They all sang songs and praised the God of Israel, who is always permanently dwelling with them on Zion, permanently. That's what the songs said. He is dwelling with us permanently. He will go nowhere. He's here to stay with us. That confidence of having Yahweh now, because by now they knew his name. A name is a sign of conquest to become a national God. Now Yahweh is there. Now the mistake Jews did is to forget that God is ambitious. He wants to go to, he wants to become a national, not a national God only, but a universal. Zion became a permanent place of God's abode. And the Jews became so proud because of that. They could not think of anything less except when God is in their midst. They even became jealous, and they kept him there. They forgot one more detail. One detail, that God climbed ladders up to universalism. Had they remembered about universalism, the behavior of Jonah and others, a few others, wouldn't have taken place. They would have remembered that God has to complete the ladder of universalism. And they would have even wondered how they can fit in his economy. How do we fit in your economy, God, so that we can expedite your journey to universalism? Instead, they told him, you stay here forever, you don't go anywhere. You are our God. Don't move. You see, let not the Gentiles share our God with them. They actually became aggressive, protecting their God. They were sure that as long as God is on Zion, they will be safe. There will be no trouble. But when the trouble began to penetrate Zion, God's presence notwithstanding, then there was a big problem. There was a lot of questions. What has happened to Yahweh? Why has Yahweh left us like this? Why hasn't he come to our rescue quick enough? And the prophets began to say, because you people have sinned. Those were very simplistic answers in those days. And you cannot blame the prophets, because they had missed a very big exercise of God, becoming a universal God. Being a prophet is not turning somebody into an omniscient who can see and know everything. God is always in the business of educating humans. And when he is educating them, he educates them within limits of their own understanding. Now we know more about our God than even Isaiah did. Now we know more about our God than Jeremiah did, or than any other prophet. Why? Because prophets of those days, you see, God could only educate them within limits of their understanding of him. So that's why the heathen understanding crept in, Yes. Since heathenism punishes somebody when he departs from what it says, similarly, they transferred that heathenism in a way which we do call syncretistic elements. You see? Yes. So they transferred the heathenism from here, and they transferred it to God. As a heathenism behaves, that's the way they thought their God does also behave, because that was the only exposure these people knew. They didn't have another exposure at that very time. They knew very well that's the way God behaves. It is very surprising, and if not annoying, to see that we people who would have known God more by now, a big percentage of his dealing with humanity, we can still turn around and speak like those people who only knew perhaps 45% of God, who only knew perhaps 50% of Yahweh. But now we know Yahweh more than 50%. If not, we can dare say that we know almost 100%. He has revealed himself maximally, which he never did in those days, through his very Son. And what the Son is, the Father is, you have seen me, you have seen the Father, you see. And what we see, the compassionate of his Son, the loving of Jesus Christ, how understanding Jesus was towards the sinners, is in the same way God the Father does understand us and is ready to always forgive us. Let us read the Bible within its very context, knowing that God did not open very quickly at a go and the whole information. He only brought piece by piece. There's no way you could tell some of those people at that time that God himself is coming to die. They were thinking of a Messiah of some type who will come to die. But now we know who really died on that day. It was God and the Creator himself. Let us be sensitive to the love of God and receptive at the same time. We will then cover with other episodes how God was always educating humanity in a very strange manner, painful manner. When Israel was at its best, that's when it got the worst of its experience. And it was difficult for them to analyze why it is so. May God bless you.